Welcome back to this episode of Spotlight. It was a tough loss on the road in Seattle, but the boys in gold are back here at GEODIS Park to face Chicago Fire. All that and more here on Spotlight. Welcome back, guys. It's nice to see your faces today.
Good to be back. Good crew. Ready to go. Ready for a good show.
Yeah, a lot to talk about. Let's get into it.
Tough road loss in Seattle. What were some of your key takeaways from this match?
For me, it's always starting on the right foot, because especially when you play against a team like Seattle who has a potent offense, they haven't quite been getting the results that they're used to early in the season. But with the potency of their offense, if you don't start the game right, you can find yourself in a world where it's very difficult to come back. And I thought that pretty much summed up the game.
Yeah, I think it's one of those games where you control the first 10, 15 minutes and all of a sudden a spark and a big moment, and I think kind of an unlucky moment for the boys in gold on Danny Musovski's goal really sparked Seattle into becoming the best versions of themselves. And 3 goals in 13 minutes. This is a game where you throw out the record of the opponent. I mean, CONCACAF Champions Cup has decimated Seattle with injuries. They're getting healthy. They had a who's who of players coming off the bench in the second half that I think certainly affected the game late as well. But Jesus Ferreira is trying to shoot. Danny Musovski gets in the way. He's onside. The ball goes in, and all of a sudden Seattle, they gained a lot of confidence from that moment early in the game. I thought it was a challenging way to start the game, and on the road, that's life in MLS, especially the longest road trip that Nashville will have this season.
Yeah, it's really far, but we do have a highlight to make on Chris Appleite. 17 years old, made his Nashville SC debut. Jaleel, how big of a moment is this for a player?
I mean, it's a massive moment. I remember when I made my MLS debut. I remember the first time I played in Lumen Stadium. I was playing for the Chicago Fire at the time, and it's a very good experience for a young player to, be thrown into what it's really like in one of the biggest venues in North America, quite frankly. And when you are able to have that experience in your back pocket, you're only looking up from here as far as what you're comfortable with. So for me, I always like debuts that are like this, not necessarily the result, not necessarily the environment that makes you comfortable as a young player. But as soon as you rip that Band-Aid off, proverbially, the more ready you are for whatever the season may throw at you coming forward.
Talking to people around the club, there's a lot of buzz around Chris Appleite as a prospect, and the maturity beyond his years, I think, is the thing that sticks out the most. You talk to people in and around this team, in the technical staff and the coaching staff, they just rave about how he carries himself, both on the pitch and off the pitch, on the training pitch, just as a professional, taking things seriously enough and coming with that A effort every day. You've heard about that a lot, but he didn't look scared of the moment, did he? I mean, side by side with Jordan Morris, with Albert Rusnak, that was a Seattle team that was giving minutes away to veteran players late in that game that were fresh. I mean, this was not Jordan Morris with tired legs. This was not Rusnak with tired legs. That's Jesus Ferreira, who hasn't scored yet for his team, who is desperately trying to get off the mark in a new shirt, in a new uniform. So credit to Chris Appleite for handling that moment and not looking out of his depth and not looking like a 17-year-old. Youngest player to ever represent Nashville SC. Really big achievement.
Yeah, and you can talk about, mentality. You can talk about being a good teammate. You can talk about all these things. Yes, those are part of the makeup of Chris Appleite, but don't get it twisted. You have to be a baller. To debut at 17, you have to be a very good player. And those are actually the first things that people say about Chris Appleite. Those are the first things that I noticed about him as well. You always have to be able to play at the level. And he's not only a defender that is not scared of a tackle, he's good on the defensive side, but he's clean on the ball. And that's very key to how BJ Callahan and company want to continue to push the team forward. Defensive facilitation with the ball is crucial, and Appleite fits that mold perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine being that young of an age, you're coming onto a professional team. What are some of those mental obstacles that you have to jump through in order to perform?
Well, first of all, it's more normal now than it was before in the league. You're seeing more younger players being woven in and helped through the process. But again, you have to be of the level from a professional standpoint and, of course, from an ability standpoint. Well, a lot of what happens in those situations is the younger players are helped by the middle or the veteran players in the locker room. And when you are one of those guys in the locker room, you understand the task. But again, it always comes down to the individual player, and Appleite has gotten here because of the things that he does on the day-to-day basis.
I was trying to just pass chemistry at 17. It's pretty incredible when you do think about it. Like, think of yourself at 17 years old and your life challenges, your life context at that age. And then you think about playing in front of 31,000 people on a Saturday afternoon in Seattle, the home of the CONCACAF Champions Cup winners a few years ago. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, at 17, you're barely getting your driver's license in some states.
Keep it between the white lines.
That's right. Taking a look at the academy system here, since you were playing in MLS, how have you seen it transform and progress to what it is now?
Yeah, tenfold. Like I spoke about earlier, it's not uncommon to see a 17-year-old debut. It's not uncommon to also see them flourish. And the reason why we're seeing that more and more in MLS is because there's a league-wide initiative. Clubs are taking it more seriously, but most importantly, there are investments through people's time, money, and efforts to make sure that the younger, next generation comes through with all the support that they need. Of course, pushing them forward to make sure that they have that mentality to succeed as a pro. But if you talk to Appleite, if you talk to, the younger players that are coming through the system here in Nashville and throughout the league, they'll tell you they have everything that they need to succeed both on and off the field.
It was interesting, too. I had the chance to catch up with BJ Callahan last week in our weekly pre-match meeting, and he made the point to us that as an organization, there is a transition happening with the Nashville Soccer Club. And I think we, from week to week, see the changes and the evolution of the first team from one identity to a very different one. BJ Callahan's quick to point out when you talk to him, there's an identity happening from top to bottom. Whether that's Huntsville, who beats Chicago Fire 2 5-0 over the weekend, whether that's the academy team, there is identifiable style whenever a Nashville SC kit is on the field, from the senior level to the under 13s, the under 14s. That's similar. That's, building out within the same way, wanting to have the ball, wanting to be aggressive on the front foot. So to me, what an advantage that is for the next generation of the gold mine and the players that are watching Chris Appleite and can say, I can do that because I'm playing this same system today at age 14, 15, 16, and maybe even in Huntsville City. So BJ Callahan, Mike Jacobs, this entire organization has made that a clear initiative from top to bottom to continue that evolution.
I think statistically, you're also seeing a younger fandom in America with soccer. Soccer is definitely growing. I've seen it grow as I grew up. People are becoming a bigger fan of international teams, the national team, their local teams. And I think we're going to continue to see more of that. But taking a look ahead, Nashville SC faces Chicago Fire this Saturday at GEODIS Park. The match is presented by Captain Morgan, and it's also Greener Goals Night, so there's lots to look forward to. But what is the big storyline that you're going to be looking for?
Yeah, the big storyline is obviously BJ Callahan going against Gregg Berhalter. Everybody knows that. They have history going back to their time together with the national team, the 2022 Qatar World Cup, everything pre and post. For me, what I'm specifically looking at is how does Nashville bounce back? Because whenever you go up against a marquee team in the league, you suffer a defeat on the road, you have to get back to the basics real quick in training. So this week of training is going to be crucial to make sure that you're honest and analyzing how the film went in Seattle, righting those wrongs, fixing what you can, but most importantly, stopping Hugo Kuipers.
Hugo Kuipers, he's the guy. 6 goals already this season, big target center forward. BJ Callahan's really liked what Jason Palacios has added to the team with Walker Zimmerman out, still in concussion protocol. To me, I think the interesting question is, does BJ Callahan stick with what worked in the second half against Seattle? Nashville had some chances against a Seattle team that, albeit I think, was content to sit back a little bit more and protect its 3-goal lead. But there were some good things in that 3-back system that Nashville showcased against Seattle. And maybe that's an option depending on Walker's status for this weekend, which we certainly don't know, and we'll find out as the week and as the month continues. But I think there's something there. And I think you've got some wingbacks in Dan Lovitz, in Andy Nahar, whose skill set fits flying up the pitch a little bit more. And having Josh Bauer, a player playing with a lot of confidence right now at right center back, BJ Callahan likes having options, and there's a lot of competition within this facility right now. Jacob Schaffelberg, Ahmed Kassem, Alex Wheelman, you got options at a lot of different spots. I think that second half in Seattle, there's maybe some things to grow on and build on that might give them some more tough decisions to make this week.
Yeah. Chicago Fire sits in 8th place. Who are you looking for this weekend?
Yeah, first and foremost, Hugo Kuipers, of course, Brian Gutierrez. And, also what I'm looking at for them is, are they going to shift back to their March form? Because they were undefeated in March, but since then, they've only won 1 in their last 5. So the Chicago Fire are in a world right now where they are struggling. They're looking for results. But what Nashville needs to do on the flip side is not to let another team that has been lacking results get confidence underneath them.
Yeah, I think their goals in this game, I think it's a Chicago team that has been leaky at the back at times away from home. They've played some very exciting games with a neutral observer, but Jaleel mentioned it. I mean, Hugo Kuipers as that target man, everything goes off of him up front for Chicago. You neutralize him, you take him away in the air, Nashville can have success on Saturday night.
All right, well, that's a wrap for today. We hope to see you at GEODIS Park this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. as Nashville SC takes on Chicago Fire. If you can't make it to the stadium, you can listen on 104.5 The Zone with our friends or watch on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. Thanks for watching Spotlight.